The grocery store was loud with the usual evening rush, metal carts rattling, a baby crying near the checkout, the hum of the old refrigerator units lining the walls. A single dad CEO, dressed simply in a dark jacket and jeans, stood quietly near the aisle, waiting for his turn. No one around him knew who he was. That was how he preferred it. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the noise. "Hey, stop right there." Everyone turned. A small boy, no older than 9, stood frozen near the exit. His clothes were worn, his shoes too big, their soles peeling at the edges. In his hands, he clutched a thin plastic grocery bag so tightly his knuckles had turned white. The shopkeeper stormed toward him, anger written across his face. "You think I don't see you? You kids steal every day," the man shouted, reaching for the bag. The boy flinched and pulled it to his chest, his eyes wide with fear. "Please, please don't take our food," the boy said softly. His voice trembled, but he forced the words out. "My mom is sick." The store fell silent. The CEO felt something twist in his chest. The shopkeeper scoffed. "That's what they all say." Tears welled up in the boy's eyes. "She hasn't been able to stand for days," he whispered. "I just needed bread, and her medicine." A small bottle peeked out of the bag, along with a half loaf of bread and a packet of rice. Nothing more, nothing extra. The CEO stepped forward. "Is there a problem here?" he asked calmly. The shopkeeper turned, annoyed. This kid was stealing. The CEO looked down at the boy. The child's shoulders were hunched, as if he was trying to make himself invisible. His lip quivered, but he didn't cry. He just waited, like someone who had learned too early that begging rarely worked. The CEO crouched to the boy's level. "Did you steal this?" he asked gently. The boy swallowed hard. I was going to pay next week," he said. "I help people carry bags. Sometimes they give me money. I promise." That was it. The CEO's mind flashed to late nights, to his own daughter asleep on the couch while he worked, to the fear of losing the only family he had left. He stood up slowly, his voice firm now. "I'll pay," he said. The shopkeeper hesitated, then nodded. But the CEO wasn't done. He placed a hand lightly on the boy's shoulder. "Son," he said softly, "you did the bravest thing today, asking for help." The boy looked up, confused, and for the first time, hopeful. "If you want, I can now." Expand Scene 2, Home Reveal in 450 words. Expand Scene 3, Life-Changing Decision. Adjust tone, more dramatic, softer, cinematic. The boy walked ahead, glancing back every few steps to make sure the man was still there. The single dad CEO followed quietly, carrying 2 heavy grocery bags in his hands. The streets grew narrower as they moved away from the main road. Streetlights flickered, some completely dead, leaving long shadows across broken sidewalks. "This way," the boy said softly, pointing toward a row of old apartment buildings with cracked walls and rusted gates. They stopped in front of one of them. The stairs were dark, the smell of damp concrete heavy in the air. The boy climbed quickly, barefoot, counting steps in a whisper. The CEO noticed how familiar the child was with the darkness, how he didn't hesitate once. At the 3rd floor, the boy pushed open a door that barely hung on its hinges. "Mom," he called. Inside, the room was small and almost empty. A thin mattress lay on the floor. A single bulb hung from the ceiling, unlit. The electricity had clearly been cut off. The air was warm and still, filled with the faint smell of sickness and medicine. On the mattress lay a woman, pale and exhausted. Her cheeks were sunken, her breathing shallow. When she heard her son's voice, she tried to sit up but failed. "You shouldn't have gone out," she whispered weakly. The boy rushed to her side. "I'm okay, Mama," he said quickly. "I brought food and medicine." The CEO set the bags down slowly. His throat tightened. He had walked through factories, boardrooms, and luxury homes, but nothing had prepared him for this silence. This kind of poverty didn't shout. It whispered. The woman finally noticed him. Panic flashed in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said, struggling to lift her head. "If he did something wrong." "He didn't," the CEO interrupted gently. "He was taking care of you." Tears rolled down her face. "He's just a child," she said. "His father died 2 years ago. Since then, it's just been us." The CEO felt the words land like a weight. He knelt down and placed the medicine beside the mattress. "My daughter lost her mother," he said quietly. "I know what it's like, to be all someone has." The boy watched them both, his small hands clenched together, fear and hope battling in his eyes. The CEO stood and walked around the room, counting the empty cupboards, the cracked walls, the lack of food, the unpaid bills scattered in the corner. No television, no fan, no sign of comfort. When he returned, his decision was already forming. "You're not alone anymore," he said softly. The mother looked up, confused. But the CEO's eyes were fixed on the boy. And in that moment, the boy realized. His life was about to change forever. "If you're ready, I can now write expanded scene 3, 450 words, with the full transformation and emotional payoff. Here is expanded scene 3, approximately equals 450 words, the emotional climax and life-changing resolution." The next morning, sunlight filled the small room for the first time in months. The power was back on. A soft hum came from the ceiling fan as it slowly turned, pushing fresh air through the apartment. The mother stirred on the mattress, confused by the unfamiliar comfort. Outside, a car door closed. The single dad CEO stepped inside, not alone this time. A doctor followed him, carrying a medical bag, and behind them were two assistants holding boxes of supplies, groceries, clean blankets, and medicine. The boy stood frozen near the door, unsure whether this was real or another dream he would wake up from too soon. The doctor examined the mother carefully, checking her pulse, listening to her breathing. "She's weak," he said, "but with proper treatment, she'll recover." The boy let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. That same afternoon, they were taken to a private clinic. For the first time, the mother slept in a clean bed with white sheets and quiet machines humming beside her. The boy stayed awake all night in a chair, watching her chest rise and fall, afraid that if he closed his eyes, she might disappear. The CEO sat beside him. "You did everything right," he told the boy. "You were brave when you were scared. That's what real strength looks like." A few weeks later, everything had changed. The mother recovered steadily, her color returning, her strength growing each day. They moved into a small but clean apartment near a school. The boy received new clothes, books, and a backpack that still smelled like fresh fabric. On his first day of school, the CEO came to see him off. "This is your scholarship," the man said, handing the boy an envelope. "It will take care of your education, all the way through college, if you want." The boy stared at the paper, unable to speak. But there was one more thing. At a company event months later, the CEO stood on stage with his daughter beside him. In the front row sat the boy and his mother, dressed neatly, smiling nervously. "Today," the CEO announced, "we are launching a new foundation, named after a young boy who reminded me why kindness matters." The boy's eyes widened as the room erupted in applause. After the event, the CEO knelt in front of him and said softly, "You didn't just change your own life. You changed mine." The boy hugged him tightly. Sometimes, a single moment of mercy creates a lifetime of hope. If you want, I can also rewrite this for shorts voiceover pacing. Create image prompts for all 3 scenes. Write a viral title, description, and hashtags.